Secure unused ports. A simple method that many administrators use to help secure the network from unauthorized access is to disable all unused ports on a switch. Mitigate MAC address table attacks. The simplest and most effective method to prevent MAC address table overflow attacks is to enable port security. Port security limits the number of valid MAC address allowed on a port. It is also an administrator to manually configure MAC address for a port or to permit the switch to dynamically learn a limited number of MAC addresses. Enable port security. The switch port security command was rejected. This is because port security can only be configured or manually configure access ports or manually configure trunks ports. By default, the layer 2 switch port are set to dynamic auto. Therefore, in the example, the port is configured with the switch port mode access interface configure command. Limit and learn MAC address. To set the maximum number of MAC addresses allowed on a port, use the following command. The default port security values is 1. The maximum number of secure MAC addresses that can be configured depends the switch and the iOS. An example, the maximum is 8192. Port security aging. Absolute. The secure addresses on the port are deleted after the specified aging time. Inactivity. The secure addresses on the port are deleted only if they are inactive for the specified aging time. Port security violation mode. If the MAC addresses of a device attached to the port differs from the list of secure addresses, then a port violation occurs by default. The port enters the error disable state. To set the port secure violation mode, use the following command. Switch open parenthesis config if close parenthesis hashtag switch port security violation protect restrict shutdown. Ports in error disable state. When a port is shut down and placed in the error disable state, no traffic is sent or device or received on that port. A series of port security related messages display on the console. The administrator should determine what caused the security violation if an unauthorized service device is connected to a secure port. The security threat is eliminated before enabling the port. Verify port security. To display port security settings for switch, use the show port security command. The example indicates that all 24 interfaces are configured with the switch port security command because the maximum allowed is 1 and the violation mode is shut down. No devices are connected, therefore the current address count is 0 for each interface. Here are the steps to mitigate VLAN hopping attacks. Step 1. Disable DTP auto-trunking negotiations on non-tracking ports by using the switch port mode access interface configuration command. Step 2. Disable unused ports and put them in an unused LAN. Step 3. Manually enable trunk link on a trunking port by using the switch port mode trunk command. Step 4. Disable DTP auto-tracking negotiations on tracking ports by using the switch port non-negotiate command. Step 5. Set the native VLAN to a VLAN other than VLAN 1 by using the switch port trunk native VLAN number command. DHCP snooping. DHCP snooping does not rely on source MAC addresses. Instead, DHCP snooping determines whether DHCP message are from an administratively configured trusted or untrusted source. It then filters DHCP messages and rate limits DHCP traffic from untrusted source. Device under your administrative control, such as switch, routers, and servers, a trusted source. Any device beyond the firewall or outside your network is an untrusted source. In addition, all access ports are generally treated as untrusted source. The figure shows an example of trusted and untrusted port. Here are the steps to implement DHCP snooping. Step 1. Enable DHCP snooping by using the IP DHCP snooping global configuration command. Step 2. On trusted port, use the IP DHCP snooping trust interface configuration command. Step 3. Limit the number of DHCP discovery messages that can be received per second on untrusted ports by using the IP DHCP snooping limit rate interface configuration command. Step 4. Enable DHCP snooping by VLAN or by range of VLAN using the IP DHCP snooping VLAN global communication command. Dynamic ARP inspection. In typically attack, a threat actor can send unsolicited ARP replies to another host on the subnet with the MAC address of the threat actor and IP addresses on the default gateway. To prevent ARP spoofing and the resulting ARP poisoning, a switch must ensure that only valid ARP requests and replies are relayed. The implementation guidelines. To mitigate the changes of ARP spoofing and ARP poisoning, follow these DAI implementation guidelines. First, enable DHCP snooping globally. Second one is enable DHCP snooping on selected VLANs. Third is enable DAI on selected VLANs. And the last is configure trusted interface for DHCP snooping and ARP inspection. DAI example. Destination MAC checks the destination MAC address in the Ethernet header against the target MAC address in ARP body. Source MAC checks the source MAC address in the Ethernet header against the sender MAC address in the ARP body. IP address checks the ARP body for invalid and unexpected IP addresses including addresses 0.0.0.0, 255.255.255.255 and all IP multitask addresses. Port pass and PBDU guard. Port pass. Port pass immediately brings an interface configuration as an access or trunk port to the forwarding state from a blocking state, bypassing the listening and learning state. Apply to all end-user ports. Port pass should only be configured on ports attached to end device. PBDU guard. Immediately error disables a port that receives PBDU, like port pass. PBDU guard should only be configured on interface attached to end device. Configure port pass. Port pass can enable on interface by using snapping tree port pass interface configuration command. Alternatively, port pass can be configured globally on all access ports by using the snapping tree port pass default globally configuration command. To verify whether port pass is enabled globally, you can use either the show running config begin span command or the show snapping tree summary command. To verify IP port path is enabled an interface. Use the show running config interface. Type number command as shown in the following example. The show snapping tree interface type number detail command can also be used for verification. Configure PBDU guard. PBDU guard can be enabled on a port by using the snapping tree PBDU guard enable interface configuration command. Alternatively, use the snapping tree port path PBDU guard default globally configuration command to globally enable PBDU guard on all port path enabled ports. To display information about the state of snapping tree, use the show spanning tree summary command. In the example, port path default and PBDU guard are both enabled as the default state for port configuration as access mode.